Hello and welcome to AZ in the Circle, Arizona Softball Podcast. We got a fantastic show for you today. Basically Arizona royalty when it comes to softball. We got with us Marissa Schuld with Arizona State. She's a Sun Devil, so we have a Sun Devil in the house. Thanks for coming out here today, Marissa.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. We got a lot of things to talk about here at 1010 Studios in Gilbert. And right off the bat, okay, I want to talk about your 2023 season. You know, maybe you might not want to talk about it so much, but there are some good highlights there. Mm-hmm. Definitely 2022. Might as well do 2020 and then 2019. We'll make it quick, though. And then I want to talk to you about your decision about staying in Tempe, thank goodness, when the former coach went to A&M. And then also about maybe some ideas post-playing career. And then what you did in October, this past October, with the community. I told you love. I want to talk about that too, and then also your recruitment journey, how it all began, and then some name, image, and likeness stuff, and then the season that's upon us here, that's about to get underway. Definitely like to talk about that. So let's get at it, get after it. Recap 2023. I definitely want to start off with. You beat the Arizona Wildcats. You came in to pitch 2 scoreless innings, and during the regular season, what memories do you have of that? Was that something that was a positive note?
Yeah, I mean, every time I pitch against them, it's a positive note, I would say, especially with it being my former team. But I like to just stay in the moment, whether, like, we're ahead, we're behind, doesn't matter who the opponent is. But I would say any chance to get the save or the win against that team, it's going to be a good day.
Good. That was in March of 2023. Also in March 2023, you had a walk-off double to run-rule Boise State. So here you are getting it done in the circle for Arizona, the Sun Devils. And then you also do it in the batter's box against Boise State. How was that? How was that feeling there, coming in there knocking the double for the win?
I mean, a walk-off is pretty good feeling, but to be able to do both sides of the ball, it's definitely a challenge mentally, but whenever I do find success, obviously I'll celebrate with my teammates. I'm kind of like the more humble side of things, so I'm like, yeah, it's expected, but it was good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, definitely it comes through that you're definitely humble, but you're definitely some people say it's a two-way player, but I just like to call it you're just a great softball player, and maybe even the Ohtani of college women's softball, So
yeah, sign me for $700 million, please.
That's $70 million a season. Yeah. So, okay, I did the math the other day. It's like $447,000 a game. Mm-hmm. Some ridiculous thing. So it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. So definitely a two-way player. Now you did that last year a little bit, and I've talked to your hitting coach before, and he knows you've hit great since you were a little one, right?
Yeah.
You're super tall now. So is that something that we can look forward to this coming season? Is you maybe going both ways as far as hitting and pitching?
If my body can stay healthy, then yes. I told my coaches it's my last year, so just let me go. I will be fine. I always tell them, like, I don't feel pain. Obviously, I do. I'm human. But I'm excited. I've been working hard, obviously, in the off time with Coach Jimmy Clytus and then, obviously, Steven Randolph. But, yeah, Steven has seen me hit baseball since I was little. I was, like, 10 years old, I think. And I was in the cages, and I would probably be hitting, like, 85 or 90 off the machine with wood bats. So I would say that's what made me have good eye coordination, and obviously I'm a competitor, so in the box or in the mound, I'll be competing. So
yeah, well, I'm excited. It's a big season coming up. I understand you guys have a lot of home games, and we'll talk about that. You guys kick off the season with a big tournament. I think that you and Grand Canyon are hosting together, mm-hmm. So that's gonna be exciting. Also, I want to talk to you about 2022. You in March again. Against the Arizona Wildcats, you threw a perfect game.
Yeah.
And that's the last time in over half a decade that a Sun Devil has thrown a perfect game in softball. Go back to that day, and if you can remember, because it takes a team to make that happen. The catcher, certain plays that maybe a great play that kept the game perfect. What do you remember about that day, please?
So I do remember, like, prior to the game, like, my arm was shot. It was, like, hanging. It was a dead arm because I was a reliever that year, too, as well. So I was warming up for, like, hours in the bullpen on end. I probably should have been smarter about that. But, so I came in to relieve on Friday night's game, I believe. Didn't throw Saturday, but I was in the bullpen all day again. And then Sunday, I was like, I don't know, like, my arm hurts. But I just went out there, competed, and I honestly didn't have my best stuff. But I will say, like you said, it takes a team to throw a perfect game. And I had some shots off of me, I remember, but my defenders were there to make the plays. But I would say, like, the biggest probably, like, component to that was my catcher, Jessie Puck. She graduated that year, I believe. That was her last year. But she's just an awesome human, always kept the vibes light. Like, if I got too serious, she knew how to, like, lighten me up. But props to her and that whole year for keeping me in it, like, in it to win it. But, yeah, I would say, like, I remember in the last 2 innings, I had some shots off of me. I think one was to Alina, our shortstop, and then even Savvy Price at third, or our second baseman at the time. But they were there to make the plays. I think they all wanted it just as bad as I wanted it. I didn't even realize it till probably, like, the last, like.
And how did you
inning.
realize it? Everyone was staying away from you, and you were on one side of the dugout, or
well,
what
they were
happened?
just like, I heard people whispering, like, don't say it out loud, basically. But that's when it got into my head, and I went out there into the last inning, and I was like, just go in there, spin the ball, don't leave it hanging. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. If I don't throw a perfect game, it's fine. But at least it was a good outcome. Either way, we swept them that weekend, so
Yeah.
that's always a good feeling.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned your catcher. Sometimes I think, what do the catchers say to the pitcher? Like you said, she keeps you loose if you get too serious. So does she go up there and say, hey, what do you want to do after the game? Or does she say, hey, what'd you do last night? Does she ever say, I always think to myself, I wonder what they're saying.
Yeah.
Are there any conversations that are like, you would never think they would say that?
There's definitely, like, especially with Jessie, there was some stuff that probably shouldn't be repeated out loud.
Okay.
Yeah, but she just, like, that team was so close. Like, after, like, Sundays, we would all get together, do something fun, or just, like, be together. But obviously after that weekend, we celebrated hard. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And then in 2020, the shortened season, you were off to a hot streak for that team in Tucson. You were playing for them. We'll get that. To that in a little bit. UofA, you are on a 9-game hitting streak for the Wildcats, and you're batting .350. So, and they actually designated you as the designated player for 15 of those 25 games. How did that make you feel as a player, knowing that, hey, we want her as our DP?
I think down there I was, like, surrounded by greatness and great players. Like, I think there were 6 All-Americans on that team, and so we, like, as a team, held ourselves to a higher standard on and off the field. And I think just being surrounded by that many great players, obviously I'm going to try my best to compete with them. So I was in the DP spot. I think that was the year that Deja was with the Olympic team. And I just wanted to play. I wanted to find a spot. So I would say I worked really hard with my hitting, and then just kept finding success, or, like, putting the balls in play, but just finding a way on base. So
Yeah.
I think it's because I competed with the older girls, or, like, the All-American type talent, and then obviously working with Mo Mercado after, because she was a GA at the time. So I would work before or after practice with her, and just them showing me the ropes of, like, what to expect in different situations definitely taught me a lot about the game and expanded my knowledge.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, as your freshman year, your 2019, you've been playing softball for almost a decade now, right? In college. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Seems like
Call
that.
me Dr. Riss. That's what Coach B calls me. So
The 2019, you show up as a freshman. You guys go to the College World Series off the bat. I mean, what was that as? I mean, as I guess as a fan, we'd love to hear that. But I was also, a little bit of you as a fan as a player was got to be thrilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then part of you as a player is like, I got to participate. I got to
Yeah.
help out. Well, tell us about that experience.
I mean, sitting the bench isn't fun, but I would say, like, through my experience at U of A, like, it was a learning curve for me, and I'm honestly grateful for my time and my role on that team because it taught me a lot about, like, how I can be the best me even if I'm not playing. It takes 22 to win a game or a series, and the weakest component of the team will, like, probably bring you down. So just showing support to those that are on the field and, like, even now, if I'm not pitching, I'm charting, or if I'm not pitching, I'm like cheering on whoever's out in the field. So, but I would say going to the World Series as a freshman definitely wasn't what I was expecting. But when you're surrounded by greatness, you kind of just go with the flow and just keep doing what the team needs instead of like what I need, I guess, per se.
But yeah, it seems like, but really that in and of itself is a winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why U of A has such a winning culture, because here you are coming in as a freshman, you want to do so good, and yet here you are cheering on your teammates and doing the best you can for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that speaks volumes of you too.
Yeah.
You know, and it speaks volume of their recruiting process to say, hey, we got to find the girls that want to compete, but that we know and that they do get upset that they're not playing, but they're still in it to win it, and they're celebrating the whole team.
Yeah, and we would treat like practice as a game. So whether it be with scrimmages, just with drills, I remember I was taking outfield and pitching every single day down there. So if I could have been smarter about that, I would have backed off of that a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just learned how to be like a selfless player down there, and learning from like your Jesse Harper, Deja Mulipola, like those are all players that I would want anybody to like learn from or like learn the ropes from. And then I got to play with McKenna Harper at ASU, obviously, and playing with the sisters, they're definitely similar, but I don't know, very different when it comes to softball.
Yep. And there's two sisters on ASU's team now too, right? Yanni.
Oh yeah, Yanni is a grad assistant, and then Yanixa is a player. She's a sophomore. Yeah.
All right, good.
Still the sister vibes, though.
Yeah, good. And you're used to that, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. And then I love to talk about your decision to, thank goodness, stay a Sun Devil, you know, here in Arizona when after the 2022 season, you know, Coach Ford left to Texas A&M. And I'm sure there was tremendous pressure for you to, I don't know, maybe go there or go other places. What made you stay here, stay a Sun Devil? Because it's hard because you know certain coaches are going certain places and they know you, but you don't know what's coming down the pipe. So it's a big chance, big leap of faith to stay with ASU. What was going through? Can you run us through it, please?
So that was definitely like one of the hardest things I've been a part of, just because we came off of such a winning season, and then we didn't really know what to expect, and we kind of just found out through social media that she was leaving. But I think everybody, like, that team was so close-knit at the time, and everybody knew that it probably was never going to be the same. So I think it started with one girl entering their name in the transfer portal, and then everybody followed, even myself. I was in the portal, I want to say for like 3 weeks, maybe a month. I'm not sure. I even went on another visit. But yeah, that time was really challenging, and I think I just had to weigh out my options and what was most important to me. But I actually during that time, I was verbally committed to BYU, which is the LDS school up in Utah, Provo, Utah. But
that's the one that Jim McMahon, 1985 Bears.
Yep.
Yeah, he was great.
So my club coach was coaching there at the time, and he was trying to get me over there. So I went on a visit to that school, and I honestly, in my last few seasons of college softball, just wanted to be around people that I was going to enjoy. Obviously, because I've had great experiences at both U of A and ASU, but also another factor that played into that was my health. I was going through some health issues during that time, and I think me picking up and moving to a completely another state where I'm not really familiar, not familiar with the doctors or the players, was just going to be a lot on me mentally. But regardless, either way, me staying or going was a lot mentally, and But I would say, I think after my visit at BYU, I texted one of our coaches or both of them, I don't even know, and I was like, can I please come back?
Oh.
Yeah, but
And what was the response? I mean, what
um,
was it like? Because I never heard of this story before.
yeah,
And thanks for
not a
sharing
lot of
it.
people know this, so, but
And what I'm saying, I've never heard like they go in the transfer portal, right?
yeah,
And then, oh, it didn't work out for you. Now you want to come back, but
mhm,
it did work out for you. You did have an opportunity to
yeah,
go, so it wasn't like, and you had verbally committed,
mhm,
and so for a coach to get a call back and knowing all this,
yeah.
and then can I come back? I want to hear. I want to hear about that.
I mean, it was a hard conversation for sure, but I think it definitely like allowed me to grow because I realized I need to make up my mind with things faster. I was very indecisive with what I wanted, and then I finally just came back home after a visit up there, and I was like, I don't want to change my lifestyle to live in Provo, Utah, as opposed to here. I have a lot of connections. I can go home. I can go to my doctors that I'm familiar with. So I think me, because like I'm a different, some people call me a unicorn, but um, I think Coach B, obviously it was a hard conversation for her as well. She had just brought 6 pictures on a visit. So she had to figure out some things behind the scenes, obviously, and I think they just wanted like a veteran or like a Sun Devil to stay in the clubhouse to keep some of the culture going. So, but yeah, it was a definitely come to Jesus moment with like me and the coaching staff. But I'm not going to it was very hard for me to just stay here and know Coach B for a week, and she didn't really know me or my background, my history with all the stuff that I had going on. So I think having like people like Jimmy Colitis and our director of ops and just my family around me to keep me home. And obviously this is like my dream school ever since I was little growing up. I went to the games growing up, so I think that was just like my main decision. I'm at my dream school, so why not help the future generations build what it needs to be, like how it used to be? Because I was coming to games when it was Clint Myers and Dallas was pitching, but so hopefully ASU softball can get back to that again. That's the goal, and I think the culture that Coach Megan Bartlett is building will thrive in that.
Yeah. Well, I would have to imagine she, at the end of the day, after it was all said and done, the dust settled, she's probably thinking, thank God you stayed.
Yeah.
You know?
It was definitely a hard year last year for both players and coaches. But I think now I've built a better relationship with the coaching staff, and they've taught me things that I probably would have never been taught if I went to other schools and seeked other options. So for that, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful that they gave me the opportunity to stay home. So.
Yeah, I heard Coach K talking at the ASU camp the other day, Coach Colitis, and he was telling the young campers to there's a couple of reasons you should play ball, and one of them, you love the sport, be competitive, and the other one is to play for your teammates and build relationships, and because I remember him saying the only downside to having all these great relationships is that he gets invited to a lot of weddings, and then he's got to buy those wedding gifts. But no, he was joking about that, but he loved the part about, hey, play the game, build great relationships that last you way past your playing days, and you seem to be doing just that.
Yeah, I definitely have created like a lot of relationships with my teammates, my coaches, especially being a part of really now 3 different teams. So I guess that like is a big push that Coach B always has with our new culture coming in, is like create relationships with those that you think you would never be friends with. But either way, we all have something to bring to the table.
Yep.
So.
And bring in, you said the word culture, and it's so important to have a winning culture. Culture is culture, but if you have a winning culture, it really produces wins. What was have you seen that this culture that was here before, the culture that left, the culture that was trying to come in, and then you're trying to blend this team and build even an improved culture? How has that process been, and where do you see it? What direction do you see it headed in now? And do you have an identity as a culture yet? Or is it something that's still a work in progress?
As for the culture, like I would say the culture was kind of clashing from old ASU softball to new ASU softball. This was last year in the 2023 season, but I think there's only really 2 girls on the team now that was a part of the old culture, which is me and Jordan Van Hook. We're kind of like the OGs, but been around the longest. But I think like it's better now that the old culture is gone in a sense, just because that doesn't really go with the alignment of Coach B and her goals. But as for moving forward, I would say with our identity, it's not really established yet, but we work with a mental performance coach, I think 3 days a week, and he just kind of talks us through that, establishing goals for the team, for ourselves, and just moving forward through our identity. I know that in the fall we had like glimpses of it, but it never really stuck. So I think once everybody comes back and we hit the road running with practices, I think it'll be instilled in more practices moving forward.
Of what that identity is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're right. You can say, hey, this is our identity, but actions really determines it.
Yeah. We can all we all are on the same page as for saying it. It's just a matter of us all doing it.
Yeah.
So
Well, good. That'll be good to as a fan. You like to figure it out without even hearing what they think their identity is.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, wow, they're a great team, and they play great defense, and they play the short game when they need to. They play the deep game when they need to. So that's going to be exciting to watch.
I think regardless, like this group of girls this year, it's been like such a pleasure and joy off the field with them too. Like I actually want to go hang out with them, get to know them. But I think we're all here for the same reasons and the right reasons. So I think that will lead to better results on the field.
Yeah. Love to hear that. And then I've also heard that you have a way with communicating with even your younger pitchers and even campers per se, and you really have a skill as far as being a great pitching coach in terms of you just the way you deliver it produces results. Like there's perfect example. There's some great NBA players that end up being coaches, and they're not really that good of a coach, even though they're super talented. So it's a skill, a talent to be able to communicate with others and translate that into results. So with that said, do you think that there's a future Coach Schuld in there?
Everybody wants me to be, just because they see me work with younger girls or like how I explain things. And I honestly enjoy doing it. I think it's just a matter of finding a home for me. But I don't know. I'm up in the air every day.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
because the best part of softball is the playing part. I would imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next best thing is coaching. So you can still play.
Yeah, I definitely want to be involved with the game still. So I mean, if that's my calling, that's my calling. But I'm trying to get through the season first, and then figure out what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, but I just heard that you were really good about that. So
no, I definitely enjoy it. And if you want pitching lessons, come hit me up.
That's good. And then also, you did something for the community in October, and I'm a big believer in that life rewards action. And you did a fundraiser to F Cancer, to fight against cancer, and you came up with these cool T-shirts that had the fork, right?
Fork cancer, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, fork cancer. Yeah, you got the same idea.
Yep.
And can you tell us a little bit about that, the inspiration, and how that fundraiser came about, please?
Mm-hmm. So one of my teammates, she was actually on the 2022 squad, Hallie Harger. She actually beat cancer, and she's a cancer survivor. And this was her event up until I think she went to A&M with the old coaching staff. She's something on admin there. I'm not really sure what she does exactly, but
I think she helps out with the recruiting.
Yeah, probably. And then, so this is her event, and she just kind of asked me to take over. It was always a tradition within Sun Devil softball to keep that going, I guess, per se. And the people of the breast cancer organization reached out to me. We went through several Zoom calls on what I should do and how to do it, and reach out to the community. And then obviously just fundraise money to go to the American Cancer Society. But it was definitely a great experience, and it was a lot of work, I will say that. In my off time, that's all I was doing all fall, was prepping for that and trying to get fundraisers and sponsorships. I would like to shout out Dominic Martinez. He and his company sponsored the shirts to get them made and the hats. But yeah, it was definitely a cool experience, and just to lead my team in a walk and to see them all like support me and come behind me and show up that day was awesome.
All right. So it was a T-shirt. I think I remember it was purple. Was it purple or pink?
It was
Hot pink?
black with a pink circle,
Pink,
I
yeah.
think, and it says like ASU softball, Fort Cancer, and then the hats were just white with a ASU logo, and it was like pink and black.
Yeah. Yep.
Which you can't really find that hat anywhere, so those sold out like so quickly. But
Good.
yeah,
Well, thanks for doing that for the community. That's a big
Of
deal.
course.
Someone as young as you to be selfless like that and think of others. So that's
I would like to get involved in more in other things after college, but it's so hard balancing everything. So.
yeah. That's what I mean. It's amazing that
Yeah.
you did that in the middle of fall ball.
Mhm.
So that's great. And then okay, let's talk recruiting. And I love to talk about your journey. Because everybody talks about how everybody's journey is their own. Well, okay, let's talk about your own journey there.
Yeah.
Let's start with first of all, because you're a graduate student now, right? When you got recruited, that's back before the rule change, and the
Yeah.
rule change is now is you really can't talk to a player officially, like directly
Till our
until
junior year.
September 1st. But when you were being recruited, they could talk to you. And tell us about how that all went down, and your first offer and your first phone call and all that kind of stuff. Because go ahead.
I don't even remember like my first phone call. I remember I was in 7th grade and I was probably like
7th grade.
yeah.
And they're like, college, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I was, excuse my language, shitting my pants. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really know what to expect in 7th grade. So I was just talking to these coaches, and they were like telling me all about it. And at the time, I was on a really high caliber team that competed at all the national tournaments. And I would say that, like, being on a team that finished top 10 at PGF every year is what got me recruited, because I was surrounded by, again, great players that were getting looked at, and that just gave me my exposure.
So who came to you in 7th grade and say, hey, we want you?
Well, they would go to my coaches first.
Yeah.
And I think the first school was Northwestern. I know Ole Miss was there at the time, and maybe some other ones, and then UofA.
Your 8th grade year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
UofA was like going into my 8th grade year. And, Coach Condrea is like a legend, so talking to him was pretty intimidating. But I went to all the camps at UofA too, up until I graduated high school. So I committed in 8th grade to UofA, and then just stayed loyal throughout my high school years. And like I said, I didn't really know what to expect, and I wanted to go on other visits, but my dad didn't really want me to see other options. I don't know. And I think my club coach too, but who knows. But I think this is for all the softball dads out there. I would let your daughter make the decision for themselves and not you making the decision for them. Just because they probably know what they want more than you know what you want for your daughter.
Yeah.
So.
And probably that could be one of the good side effects of this new rule change.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I wish I was in the era of the new rule change, just because, like I said, I didn't even grow up a U of A fan. I grew up going to all the ASU games. I think it's definitely good to get exposure on where you're going to want, where you want to go to college.
And at least by your junior year, the college ideas come into your mind.
And you have a better idea.
Not in 7th grade, so yeah.
And even through high school, you'll experience things that will lead up to college. So, I don't know. Just committing in 8th grade blows my mind, and I wish that I had, I'm really grateful for my opportunities and my experience, but I wish I had, seen my other options.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. To me, it's amazing. Northwestern comes to you in 7th grade and say, hey, we want to offer you. We want you to come to us. And guess what? they were right, because in 2022, when you were playing for ASU, who did you face in the Super Regionals?
Yeah, Northwestern.
Northwestern.
That was brutal.
So how do they know, hey, this girl is so great, and we better sign her, because if we don't sign her, we'll probably end up facing her in a Super Regional down the road. And they were right about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were a competitive ball club too, but
Yeah.
my dad grew up in Chicago, so he was like, "You want nothing to do with the cold," which is fair.
Yeah.
I will say, I probably wouldn't have thrived there, but
Northwestern. Okay.
yeah.
All right, good. Well, thanks for sharing that, because and you did it. You answered the question. The question I like to ask is, what would you have told your younger self about the recruiting process? And to you is, let the girl, let yourself. You wanted to make more of a decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to say now, like with the era now, as opposed to when I was getting recruited. But if I was getting recruited all over again with not the rule change, I would be like, just let the opportunities come to you, see your opportunities, and also like see what you're looking for in a college, like the area you're going to be living in, if it's somewhere where you want to live after college, or just like the lifestyle you want to live outside of your softball life. I think that's really important for girls to start separating like them as a person and then them as a player, because a lot of people only know me as Marissa, the softball player, and they don't really get to know me, so they could have false accusations, which is fine, but like I know myself as a person now, with where I've gone and where I've lived. So
Yeah, I've kind of heard lately, and I hope it's a culture thing in the sport itself, throughout the sport, that your worth, a softball player's worth, is not based on her results. A softball player's worth is not based off what she did in the circle or in the batter's box. It's separate from those statistics, and it seems like it's grabbing hold with all the mental health talk that there's been out there. And what's your take on that? Have you seen that to be the case?
yeah, and I just think like life hits you hard when it hits you. So going through like life experiences has like taught me to separate myself basically, from being a player versus the person. But I would just say like it's hard balancing, like you're on a higher platform than most regular students. So balancing the two and making sure, because like softball isn't forever for us, as opposed to if I were a boy to play baseball, like I could at least try and get to the next level, but there's not really a next level for us. Like this is the highest level that we'll play at probably. So I think especially with the whole like social media and NIL establishment within sports now, I think it's great that people have the freedom to build their brand and who they are as a person.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's what definitely want to talk to you about. There was you brought up NIL, the name, image, likeness stuff, which is really there's two things there, and man, you've really experienced both of them, because the two things that transfer portal and NIL, those name, image, likeness, those are the two recent hot topics, right? Well, the before that it was the September 1st of your junior year, and now these two things, and I want to take the approach on the NIL side is, hey, has it awakened your mind to business, your entrepreneurial spirit? Do you have any NIL deals that you want to plug here on the show so we can know about them? But you know what I mean? Has it got you thinking business wise, instead of just, oh, I'm just going to play softball?
Yeah.
Now you're like, wait, I can really capitalize on this in terms of, is there a product I want to promote, or is there an image I want to portray, or what do I want to say a message to the younger girls watching, that type of thing? Has that happened because of NIL?
Yeah, for the younger girls, I would definitely just say like try to list your priorities on what you like and what you want out of your NIL experience going into college, just because if I had more time, I would be building my brand, reaching out to companies and whatnot. But I would definitely say it kicks in another like mindset of entrepreneurship, which is kind of why, because I graduated with my undergrad and then my master's already. So I'm actually getting a certificate now in the spring in entrepreneurship. And that's just whether it be me helping others find ways to capitalize on the NIL, or just me like doing my own stuff after college as well. Definitely have interest in that. But as for NIL, shouting out Feel Good Tempe, it's like a smoothie nutrition bar.
Okay.
That me and Jordan on our team are a part of. And then
How do you purchase this stuff? Is it in certain stores, or do you order
so
online, or
it's
how's it work?
a store and it's in Tempe. And then you'll just go in and then mention my name, and then you'll get half off your first visit, and then $2 off every other time. But
It's
they
called
have
Tempe
Feel Good Tempe.
Feel Good Tempe.
Yes, and the owners are great. They were ex-athletes themselves. They played volleyball, I believe, and so they just get the whole mindset. And that's their goal, is to help us athletes. They have, outside of like me and Jordan, I think they have like up to 20 athletes now, which is awesome. But they just have people to represent each sport, which you don't really see that often. Especially here in the Valley, I feel like there's so many companies and businesses, but we're missing out on all those opportunities. So
Yeah, and being that softball viewership on television is skyrocketing, right? Last year, I mean, I think everybody in the softball world knows that the Women's College World Series had more viewerships than their counterparts, the NCAA Men's World Series. And so you think that there would be, maybe it is, a big light being shown on college women's softball, and hopefully the businesses in and around Arizona pick
yeah,
up on that and invest in women in college softball.
yep. Hopefully, I don't know,
Yeah.
but there's like people out there to help us. We just got to utilize our resources. I feel like the NIL stage is like totally up to the athlete themselves and how much they want to be involved with it. Another one I have is Gadzooks. It's like enchiladas and soup, and I know there's one in Gilbert here.
Gadzooks is a restaurant?
Yeah,
That sounds like good.
yeah.
Enchiladas?
You like build your own enchiladas or tacos or whatever you may want, nachos. But really good.
Today's being Taco Tuesday today. Is there some kind of discount if I go there and I said I just interviewed, Marissa Schuld?
You could try.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have like a little card that we have, and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, definitely like to get one from you.
Yep. And then we also another one that our whole team is involved with is the Lap and Sunshine Foundation. It's like a nonprofit organization, and they just help the younger, like neighborhoods of Tucson that aren't well off.
Coach Lappin?
No, not
UofA?
her.
Okay. Well, I didn't know because you said Lappin, and I was like, well,
No, it's David Lappin. He was like a cardiologist in Tucson.
Okay.
He was actually a donor at UofA as well, but he married Jackie Vasquez, and she used to play at ASU. So that's the
Okay.
ties there. But great people, just helping out their community and helping like younger students get to college. So
That's great.
our team has helped out with them a couple times. Last week we actually just went down there and worked the Christmas drive, so that was cool.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, and then lastly, you're on the brink of your last season, about to kick off. You guys have a huge tournament, a lot of great teams coming down to play you here in Arizona. What are you most looking forward to as far as either team goals that you guys are working on, or certain games that you circle on the schedule? It's the historic, Pac-12's last season. I don't know if you're aware of that, but you're going to make history by playing in its last season. And your last showdown with UofA, and it's going to be in Tucson. And you think about how that's come full circle to play your last regular season series down in Tucson. All that, where your college career began, what are some of the things you're looking forward to?
I think this year what I'm looking forward to is just having like nothing holding me back. I think I've had a lot going on throughout my whole collegiate experience, and everyone tells me to write a book, but I think having no distractions and just me knowing who I am now and with what I've experienced and gone through, just being the best version of myself for not only myself but my teammates and those around me. Coach B always talks about empowering the person next to you, so I think just going and having one last go around with this group of girls, like people I want to be surrounded by, people I want to see succeed, and just pushing them to be the best version of themselves as well is what I'm most looking forward to. But as for team goals, I think definitely making a postseason. Missing out on that last year was gut-wrenching, I would say. But I think just making a postseason and trusting the process is our motto, like day by day, because if we aren't in the moment or the now, then we can't really control anything else. So I think just staying in the moment, staying present, and just going into the season healthy and honestly with no distractions. So.
Well, it's empowering to be next to you. So you're well on your way to making that happen for your other teammates too. You definitely thank you for sharing your time, your stories. You know, it's uplifting, and it's it's like almost a snippet of life. You know, it throws you all these curveballs.
I feel like I could talk for hours, so I feel like this isn't even like half of it, but
yeah,
definitely thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome. Yeah. So if you liked what you heard today and you felt like we've earned your like, then please for sure like us, subscribe to us, and thank you again, Marissa, for joining us in AZ in the Circle. Thank you to our producer, Casey Kendall, here at 1010 Studios in Gilbert.
Go Devils.
Go Devils.